What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Jake C. Paulson podcast. Notice it may sound a little bit different. That is because we are in a new year. No, I got a new mic. Hopefully it sounds better. I'm thinking it's going to be a hit on this one. So, yeah, welcome to the new year. This is the first ever podcast of 2025. Dang right, still feels weird. Still feels really weird writing down 2025 on things that you date. I remember every time I had to date something, it was the new year. For a whole solid month, I would write the wrong month or the wrong year. I'd write 21 or 20 or 19 or 18 or whatever it was every single time for a whole month. It took me to get used to it until I started writing the new one. But it is 2025. I hope you all had a good new year. And hopefully you have some good resolutions that you want to map out for this year. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about how running is surprisingly similar to running a business. I want to start off today with a quote from a runner. Her name is Julie Isphording. She says, "Running has given me the courage to start, the determination to keep trying, and the childlike spirit to have fun along the way. Run often and run long, but never outrun your joy of running." Julie Isphording. So she first talks about how running gave her the courage to start. Now, I know for a fact that starting a run is intimidating. Not so much because you just know it's going to be long, but really because you've done it before. And you know exactly what to expect. That's how it's a little bit different, a little bit more intimidating because you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And as far as entrepreneurship goes, they say 1 in 4 businesses fail within the first year of starting. 1 in 4. So that means most entrepreneurs that you see are in the second time or the third time or the fourth time that they've tried to start a business. That's a daunting task to go into business again after you've already failed before. You know exactly what to expect. You know all the late nights that you've been through and all the things that you're going to expect going into the year 2 or year 3 or whatever it is. That's a daunting thing to go exactly right the second time. And who is Julie Isphording? She actually placed 3rd in a qualifying round going to the first ever women's Olympic marathon. So she made it to the first ever women's Olympic marathon. And during that 10th mile of her Olympic run, she collapsed her foot. She collapsed to the ground in the 10th mile. It was something in her back, like a disc slipped. And she eventually got carried off by an ambulance during that round. So, completely failed. The doctors told her that she would never run again the rest of her life. You know, there comes a time in any entrepreneur's journey where something uncontrollable happens and you feel like all hope is gone out the window. It seems like it comes in every single entrepreneur journey. Something happens that's uncontrollable where all the hope goes out the window. In her quote, she says, the determination to keep trying. So this girl, Julie Isphording, in 1990, 6 years later, she went on to run that same exact race that she fell down on. And she ended up winning that race against all odds. She ran a 2-hour, 32-minute pace, which is a 5-minute, 43-second pace for 26.2 miles. That's ridiculous. I don't know if y'all know a lot about running. Some of you guys might. That is ridiculous. That's crazy fast. I mean, she won, obviously. It's ridiculous. But she later stated that she has no regrets. And it's really because the joy of running and the joy of just the process, she found her true self in the process of running. So, as many of you guys listeners probably know, from the past episodes, I'm actually in the midst of training for a marathon. I'm on the 16th week. So I'm 15 weeks in. I'm on the final week. I have a marathon on Saturday. And I know that there's a lot of similarities I've learned in running and running a business that I wanted to come on here and talk about. It's baffling how many similarities there actually are. So that is what I wanted to bring to the podcast this week. So let's dive in. Okay, number one, it's all mental. All of running is mental. All of running a business is mental. Technique and style are great for anything. I mean, they might look good. It might be a savvy thing. It might get you to shoot you to the top really quick just for a second, like the stock market where it dives up for a second, then dives down. But really what sets the top performers apart in sports and business, it's their mentality. It's their attitude towards the work that they're doing. And what better person to look at than Usain Bolt? Okay, I know he's not a marathon runner. He runs a 200 meter, but he's the fastest man ever. And I looked at all of his quotes, well, a bunch of his quotes online, and all of them were about mentality. Every single one of them. They weren't about what foot to put forward first, or technical ways to train. They were all about mindset, but they didn't actually have the word mentality in the quote. None of them did, which I thought was kind of funny. They were all about his own mindset. So these are some quotes of his. Don't think about the start of the race. Think about the ending. He says, believe in your dreams and that anything is possible. Another one, there are better starters than me, but I'm a stronger finisher. I know what I can do, so I never doubt myself. And then he had one in here. He said, I just imagine all the other runners are huge spiders, and then I get super scared. That's what motivates him during a race, is he just imagines everyone's a spider, a big old spider, and he runs faster. I don't know. I might use that one on Saturday when I'm running my marathon, just to view every other competitor as a big spider, I guess. But as far as, on the other side of mentality, like physical side of it, yes, obviously running takes a huge toll on your body. Entrepreneurship, traveling a ton. Like if you actually want to dive in and go 100% into entrepreneurship, you're going to have to travel a ton. You're going to have a lot of late nights. You're going to have to drink a ridiculous amount of caffeine because you set these ridiculous standards of these timelines of goals that you need, these deadlines of goals that you need to get finished. Those things take a toll on your body. But what really takes the biggest toll is the thing between your ears, the thoughts that you have. Because when you're trying to build something that you've never done before, build a business, do something that the world has never seen before, it's impossible to know what that thing is. So you make up all of these rationalizations in your mind without knowing what the exact right way to accomplish this mission is. So you might be thinking, what if I don't do it? That's the biggest thing. What if I can't do it? That's the biggest thought that most of us have. And the same thing happens in running. Oh my gosh. Whether we're running, a long distance, say you're running 5K, 10K, half marathon, or, a full marathon, whatever, ultra marathon, or you're sprinting 200 meters like Usain Bolt, the thoughts are going to come into your mind, whether you like it or not. They're always going to be there. That little voice in the back of your head that we've talked about so much on this podcast. But it's about which thoughts that you allow into your mind that's going to matter the most in the end. And one way top performers control their mind is by visualization. Jordan Belfort, who most of you guys know, The Wolf of Wall Street, big movie, he was one of the greatest salespeople ever. He wrote a book about persuasion and all this stuff, which sales has changed a bunch. So that's not the best way to do sales nowadays. And even he admits that. That was back in the day when there was no internet, or very little, I guess. People didn't have access. But before he went into every sales pitch, he would visualize the outcome that he wanted of that sales pitch. Obviously, every time it was them giving him a sale, but he would visualize the way in which they would do it, how his pitch was, how he felt, how he made them feel, all these different things. He would make it so real. Another person, Michael Phelps. All of us know who Michael Phelps is. He he would win his race that he did in the Olympics 100 times in his mind before he even got up onto the podium or onto the platform to actually jump. You know, and same thing with Usain Bolt. The Olympics is every 4 years. So you can imagine, okay, 4 years of training, you're going to be in tip-top shape, you're going to be good. But how you do 4 years of training is not just by doing it, it's by thinking about it every single morning when you wake up. It's the mentality of, I have to train 4 years just for this 30 seconds, this a minute long, this 10 seconds of run. Like, it's insane how they do that. But in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, he won 8 gold medals. Michael Phelps. He won 8 gold medals. And there was one instance where he jumped off, he was doing the butterfly, the 200-meter butterfly, which is swimming again. And he jumped off, and in the first 25 meters, his goggles filled up with water. So he's completely blind. And this is what he says about visualization. He says, I was taught at a very young age just to visualize. So for me, it was visualizing a race. It's how I wanted it to go, how I didn't want it to go, and how it even could go. So in 2008, when my goggles filled up with the water, I was relaxed because it reverted back to what I did in training. I swam blind for 175 meters out of a 200-meter race. 1 gold and broke the world record. The guy broke the world. Okay. Just imagine yourself swimming in goggles, right? You can see you're in a pool. I don't know if many of you guys can swim. Just imagine it, right? Now imagine just taking the goggles off, trying to open your eyes. Now swimming. You can't see anything, okay? Alert. This guy, maybe it's the training, obviously has a part of it, right? Training so many times over and over again. You know where the wall is going to be. You got to do the flip, and you got to swim back the other way, and you got to, he didn't just finish it. He didn't just win. He broke a world record. That is ridiculous. It's not just because of his training, but because he visualized it every single day. He didn't just visualize him winning and him having a flawless race. He also visualized what could happen, what could go wrong. He visualized the bad things as well, so that he prepared his mind for what could happen. Again, if you know exactly what's going to happen, you have the proper expectations of what could happen. If you know ahead of time, you have the expectation of what could happen. So, visualization and mindset, that's the first one. The second one I wanted to talk about is it never gets easier. Running a business, building a bit, being an entrepreneur, selling, whatever it is, it's never going to get easier. You're just going to get better at it. It's never going to get easier. You're just going to get better. So this marathon, I've been training for 15 weeks, right? I wouldn't necessarily call myself a runner just yet. But what I've found is that each time I run, I say to myself, this is just going to be an easy run. I'm just going to go out there and just, it's going to be a light run, light pace. Whatever that is for my pace, that's going to be it. And I start off that way, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be it, light pace, easy day. And then halfway through, I'm like, well, I feel pretty good. I have good pace going. 3/4 of the way, I'm like, man, if I could beat my record, that's 3/4 of the way in. And then I'm like, all right, I'm sprinting to the finish line. And that's not a good thing for training for marathon, for those of you that don't know. When you train for marathon, they say that you want to end every training run, unless it's an actual race that you signed up for, you want to end every training run as if you have a mile left in the gas tank. Now, obviously, I did not do that. So, and a lot of you guys that are very, very competitive, that's what's going to happen when you're running a business, when you're selling, when you're training, when you're whatever, running or whatever it may be. That's what's going to happen. You guys are probably already dealt with that. But it's always the same. We're all human beings. And if you're like me, you're always trying to improve and compete, whether it's with yourself or whether it's with other people. For me, it's mostly myself, a lot of times hidden behind competition with other people. So the point is, the action you take is never going to get easier. You're just going to hit higher levels. You're just going to keep leveling up and playing better people. Just like any other tournament, you keep playing a better team, or you keep playing and competing against a better version of yourself. That's what's going to help you become your best self. So, never going to get easier. You're just going to get better at it. And the last one, I think they're all pretty big, but this is a huge one. It's going to require commitment. With running or with anything you do, it's going to require you to be committed and stay committed. And it's the key here. If you can imagine let's imagine a train, one of those old-fashioned like Thomas the Train engines, tank engines, whatever. And how you fire those up is you shovel coal into the furnace, and it gets going slowly but surely. It's going to keep going, right? Now, when that train is stopped, it takes a lot of coal and a lot of energy to be shoveled into that furnace to get it moving. It takes a lot of energy. But once that train is moving, it's going to get a lot easier. It's going to get a lot easier. Then you only need to shovel in one every hour, one every 2 hours, 3 hours, 4, whatever it is. You don't need to do it constantly. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call momentum. That's momentum. Now imagine if right before the train started to like pick up pace, right? You just did all this little energy in a short amount of time, and now it's kind of going, but it's not full peak where nothing can stop that thing. But it's like, it's getting up to speed. Right when that point hits, you put a halt on the coal because burnt out. Because, all the late nights of shoveling, I just need a personal day. Or I had to go out with friends. It was their birthday. I had to go out with them, and I had to have this many drinks, whatever it was. I had to stay up this late, which turned into a weekend, and now I need a self-help day, right? Or I'm too busy on this particular day. I just don't have time. I'm stretched too thin. Okay, if you want to get better at running, or you want to get better at business, being an entrepreneur, and better at selling, it's going to require commitment. If you want to become a better entrepreneur, like I said, it's going to require commitment, not only to the big things, like maybe you're just starting off as an entrepreneur and you get a speaking gig, right? You get paid to speak, or you can just do it for free. Like for me right now, I love doing speaking gigs. I do them for free because I like it. It's the personal development in it, and the fact that I can impact people with what I say. Like, I think that's pretty cool, and I like the impact part of it. Now, eventually, one day, will I probably get paid for them? Yes. But right now, I'm just practicing to that one day I could do it the best when I do get paid for it. But when you're just starting out and you get a speaking gig, whew, that is your day. You're like, this is huge. You block it off in your calendar. You plan for it. You tell others that you market it, like all this stuff. It's a huge thing. Are you going to miss it? Are you going to sleep in that day? No. Odds are you're probably not going to sleep in that day. Now, fast forward 10 years when you've done 1,000 of them. Okay, is that a big commitment anymore? Is that one speaking deal a big commitment anymore? Odds are it's probably not, right? It's probably a small moment, and it's easier to let that one go. But if you're truly committed, you're going to do those little things over and over, and that's where the commitment comes in, the consistency to the commitment. Like we talked about last week on how to become a consistent player this year. And yes, I realize that some of these things are intense. Commitment is intense itself. I mean, commitment is truly the only way if you want to accomplish something. You need to be committed. It's just an intense word. I don't take it lightly. I know a lot of people that I associate myself with don't take commitment lightly. It's your word. But I heard this quote the other day that kind of, helped change my perspective on some things. The quote said, "If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive." And when I heard it, I stopped and I thought about it for a second. I was like, if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. But I work hard, but I like working. And I'll tell you this, if you're running too often, or you're working too late, or you're not getting enough sleep because you're overworking yourself or you're overtraining. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I know there are some extreme people that can overwork and overtrain for a certain period of time and be fine. But what I'm talking about here is if the overworking and the overtraining is causing you to lose, it's causing you to close off bigger priorities in your life. It's costing you your peace of mind. Going back to Julie Isphording's quote at the beginning of this, she said, "Run often and run long, but never outrun your joy of running." So having said all of this, okay, talking about mentality, commitment, and expectations, don't let your deadlines and your goals be the main source of your peace. Okay, don't let those deadlines and all those goals that you set for yourself, the destination, be the main source of your peace. Otherwise, it's going to stress you the heck out. This is me speaking from experience. And this is just my experience, okay? So peace for me comes from when I know I did my best at the end of the day to improve myself and level myself up that day. It's really laying in bed going, I know that I did my best today, to the things that I could control. Some days that's resting and not doing anything. Some days that is literally like I plan a day where I don't do anything. And if that's what I plan that day, I feel at peace at the end of the day. I don't feel stressed that I didn't get work done that day. I don't feel any of that. Or if it's a day where I had to run 18 miles, I feel accomplished at the end of the day. It's regardless, whatever I had planned that day and I planned to do that day, at the end of the day, I have peace. Because I did my best and I did my best to level myself up that day. So, again, just to recap how running is very similar to running your own business. For one, it's all about your mentality. I mean, we covered that with some athletes that we talked about, some salespeople. Number two, it's never going to get easier for you. You're just going to get better at it. Running and entrepreneurship coupled into one. And number three, it's going to require you to be committed. Anything you do that is worth doing is going to require you to be committed and make some sacrifices to something. You can't just have everything. You need to be committed to something. Everyone always says, be great at everything and try to go out there. Maybe not everybody says that, but the biggest thing you can do is find one thing and be just exceptionally good and committed to that one thing. That's how you get accolades on these things. That's how you become, you win 8 gold medals in the Olympics, in one time. He's got way more than that. So that is it for this episode of the Jake C. Paulson podcast. If you like this podcast, hit a thumbs up, like on it. If you got something out of this, go up and hit a follow on it too. That way you can stay up to date. There's going to be one coming out every single Monday this year. in 2025 and beyond. So whether we're going to be talking about, it's just going to be a solo episode talking about a concept, or it's going to be someone that comes on, spoiler, we're going to have some guests on in the future. And also, if you think this is super helpful for your own mindset and you listen to this, share this with one friend, send it to them. The worst that could happen is they listen to it and they just don't see the point in it, see the value in it. That's okay. But the best that could happen is they see the value and they take a bunch of action from it, and it actually inspires them to do something. I don't know. I just make these because I like making them and I think they help people and in a lot of different ways. So it's very easy to do. You just share it to them, send it on their phone, share it to one person that you think would get some value out of this. I appreciate it because it helps me have an audience to talk to, but it also helps the podcast grow naturally. And it also obviously helps the audience. And of course, I'm dedicated to adding value to those who are striving to be better in leading themselves, their business, or their community. So stay tuned for next week's episode. And as always, let's get after it. Peace.